Today we have the 2019 Lexus UX. It's the cheapest Lexus that you can get, but it still has a lot of tech. We have the F Sport model, and it's also a hybrid. So I'm excited to show you guys this and all the stuff we have. We're gonna check out the exterior, the interior, and then we're gonna go for a test drive. Let's get started. What's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning in for this 2019 Lexus UX hybrid review. So for 2019, with this UX, Lexus went for a low price luxury option that's agile, compact, and an ideal urban adventurer, and it starts around $32,000 before shipping, so that is quite the feat. Let's take a quick look at the exterior here and go over all of the features. So starting up front, all of them will get LED daytime running lights, LED high and low beams. You can see the signature L-themed LED daytime running light right there, sitting within the actual housing of the headlight. And with our F Sport package and with other options, we have the LED fog lights with a cornering function that sit down below, right below the fake little mesh vent right there. The headlights do a pretty good job at night. I've been very pleased with those. The cornering feature of the fog lights are really awesome. They really illuminate the side of the vehicle really well. And you can even option up to get triple beam auto leveling lights with the fog lights and headlamp washers as well. As typical with Lexus and their F Sport models, they have this large black mesh F Sport grille. This front end is definitely pretty aggressive, similar to some other Lexus themes. And as you can see, this Lexus emblem even has the little blue inside of it, just to show you that it is a hybrid. That's how you can tell the difference. This color right here is the cadmium orange, and it looks pretty nice. It's got a metallic flake to it as well. It's a $600 option, and I think the paint looks pretty good on this vehicle. I'd love to know what you guys think of the overall styling. One unique characteristic is that it's actually got some pretty large fender flares, and that trim even goes all the way on the bottom of the vehicle and continues to the back wheel. So this vehicle kind of has a unique look and a unique stance to it. It's almost like a hatchback wagon mini crossover look. I'm kind of undecided on it, but I'd love to know what you guys think. The UX will give you 18-inch wheels. We have the F Sport wheels right here, still 18-inch with run flat tires right here as well. Our vehicle also gives us turn signals in the mirror, but we don't have an automatic dimming mirror or a reverse tilt function on our mirror. But it does have the cross rails or the roof rack up above. No cross rails on here, you'd have to buy those in addition to it, but there's a little hybrid badge on the bottom right there. And then as we come around to the back, the length of the UX is 177 inches. For comparison, the Lexus NX, a little bit bigger, is 182 inches, similar size as the RAV4 as well. So the RAV4, the NX are both bigger than this. The rear end of this vehicle is definitely unique. You've got LED taillights and a really long LED light bar that runs across the back of the vehicle. It's quite a slope back here as well at night. The back of this vehicle really stands out. It's pretty unique. And you've got the F Sport badge, 250H badge, and then one single little exhaust outlet down below as well. Lexus has gone all in on their driver assist features, and that's perfect for this type of vehicle. I think a lot of people are going to be looking for it. We have the Lexus Safety System Plus 2.0. That gives us a pre-collision system with pedestrian detection, all-speed radar dynamic cruise control, lane tracing assist, lane centering technology, lane departure alert with steering assist, automatic high beams, road sign assist, and then optional equipment are blind spot monitor with rear cross traffic alert, and automatic braking, parking sensors, and rain sensing wipers. And our vehicle has every single one of those options. In the back of the UX, we have the optional kick sensor behind here. So it's a power door. You can push a button under here. You can put your foot under there, open it with a key fob, however you want. And then back here in the hybrid, we actually lose a little bit of space. We've got 17.1 cubic feet back here compared to 21.7 with the non-hybrid model. And it's a flat load floor. It's actually pretty high up, but there's some decent space back here for a small luxury vehicle like this. Now let me give you a closer look at this with some stuff back here. So first, right up above, you can close it with the button there. You can use either use the other button to lock it when you close it automatically, and then a grab handle. But back here, like I said, it's a pretty high load floor, but it is flat. And there's actually two cargo lights in here, one on each side. There's a hook on each side as well. On the other side, you've got a 12-volt power outlet, and then there are a couple of tie downs, one on each side back here. The UX is still fairly versatile because we have an extra little storage bin under here. There's also another little storage bin right under there, so that's really handy. A couple storage bins are always nice to have. And then under here, we have a A couple more storage areas as well, so that's really nice, and it's foam, so hopefully it's fairly well insulated. In order to fold the seats down, there's no grab handle in the back. You could reach up and grab this, but if you don't fold the headrest down, you're most likely going to have that problem. The good news is the headrests can be lifted up and folded, and then it's easier to get down. And then you've got a really nice flat load floor. It's easy to get things slid up here on both sides as well. It's 60-40 split, and it's pretty flat back there. A smart key system is standard for the UX, and it is a really nice, high quality feeling key fob. You can pull a physical key out of here. Remote start does not come on the key fob. You have to get that through the Inform remote app. Complimentary for a year. Otherwise, you got to pay $8 or $8 a month or $80 a year, which I think is a joke. For a luxury car, just give us some remote start for free. Enough with that rant. In order to use this, I like the Lexus system. You can just touch those lines right there to lock it, and then there's a sensor behind the door to unlock it, just like that. And that does have approach lighting, so when you approach the vehicle, the lights inside will light up, and the door handles actually light up. Hopping into the front seats of the UX, it doesn't give you leather seats, it gives you new Lux, which Lexus has been using that stuff for a while now, and it's still a pretty nice material. We have the F Sport particular seats. You've got the F Sport embossing in the seat. They are extra bolstered. They're fairly sporty, and they are comfortable. To me, I really like these seats. I've been comfortable in here the entire time I've been in here. They're heated, 10-way adjustable, including 2-way lumbar support. The passenger seats are 8-way power, but they don't have lumbar support. And when I'm sitting up good and tall at 5'9", or good and straight, even with this moonroof in here, I can still put just about a fist above my head. I have my seat a little lower, but there's still pretty good headroom in here. Memory seats and ventilated seats are optional equipment, but we don't have them on our model. The steering wheel is power, tilt, and telescoping, and you can have an easy entry-exit setting to where it tilts and telescopes if you want it to, or you can turn that off. It's got a pretty decent range of motion. I've had no trouble really getting it where I want it to be, and it is heated and perforated with our F Sport package. The Lexus UX has a driver-inspired interior, and that's what Lexus was going for right here. There's really good build quality throughout. It's a typical Lexus design. Everything feels like it's right where it needs to be, and there's good material quality, good build quality. Everything works well on this interior for the most part, and I've enjoyed it the second that I sat inside of it. Let me give you a quick run through of the interior. We've got soft materials on this entire door panel. This isn't super plush up here, but it is soft if you want to rest your elbow up there. Nice soft armrest, good grab handle. This door handle is also, just a nice feature as well. We're missing our memory settings, but those are optional. Got a good sized bottle holder and a little storage bin down there. Right on the inside to the left of the steering wheel is the trip odometer, where you can scroll through the actual odometer readings, the light controls on the interior, as well as active sound control for enhanced sound on the inside of the cabin, and I'll go through that while we're driving. We shut the door, and it's a pretty solid door slam. It's not quite the Lexus quality I was going for. There may be a little bit of shimmy over here, but no big deal. And then the rest of the interior, as I was saying, it's a nice build quality. Everything seems to be in a pretty good place. Design-wise, that's definitely subjective. I'd love to know what you guys think of that. But we have the F Sport heated leather-wrapped steering wheel with the perforations right here. It's really comfortable to hold on to. You've got the F Sport badging. It's got some nice bulk to it, and I've enjoyed that. There's actually even little paddle shifters on here. Even though we have a hybrid, you can still kind of mimic the shifts with the electronic controlled CVT. The controls are very similar to other Lexus models. You can control your information display, voice controls, radio controls, all that on here. Cruise control settings, lane departure right there, your radio modes, all that is very easy to access and reach. With our smart key, push button start, hit the button, and it starts right up. And I really like that UX that pops up. That's pretty neat. The non-F Sport models will give us a 7-inch information display right here, but we have the 8-inch screen, and you can still scroll through information with it like this, or you can hit the button on the steering wheel to separate it for the LFA inspired gauge, and there's a lot that you can scroll through. And that 39.8, I reset that a little while back. I was trying to get good mileage on a highway run, and then I was having to go kind of fast against a lot of wind on a highway run that threw off all my measurements, but over the last probably 100 miles or so, that's what I've averaged, 39.8 with mixed driving. So, and not trying either. I've put it in eco mode sometimes to see if it really makes a difference, and it definitely keeps you in EV mode longer with eco mode. Right over there you see a little EV, it's kind of blurred right now, but there's an EV car icon. When that's on, you know that your engine is off and you're just in pure electric mode. And if you put it in EV mode intentionally, it'll only let you go to 25 miles an hour. Otherwise, when you don't do that, it will put you in EV mode whenever it senses that it can, above 25 miles per hour too, if you're just coasting or something like that. This driver display right here shows you a lot of information. I'll scroll through that. Radio, compass, your driver assist features, and then you can control all of this stuff on here really easily as well. Our model doesn't have it, but you can get a full color head-up display right up here on the windshield, which is pretty neat for a vehicle in this price range. Right up above, you see the typical Lexus clock up there, and then we have the optional 10.3-inch navigation system with our screen that includes Wi-Fi, Apple CarPlay, no Android Auto, but we have Amazon Alexa, and then an optional 8-speaker premium sound system. You can control this screen partially with the little shortcut controls by your hand, or the touchpad controls that I'll show you in a second. You can have it be split screen, single screen, whatever you want. And I mean, I like this screen, I like how big it is, but it's not quite as easy to use as some. Let's take a listen to that 8-speaker sound system. That actually seems to sound pretty good. Not quite as full and clear as the Mark Levinson systems and other Lexuses, but it's got some pretty good bass as well. Just below all of that, we have some really simple and easy to use dual zone AC controls. It's all with these toggles right here, and they feel of high quality. I really like that, and I think this is very simple and easy to use. There is a CD player right below that. Interestingly enough, it takes up some space, but they still have a CD player. And then you've got your heated seat functions. No ventilated seats in my model, but it's optional. You can have it on automatic, which has worked great for me. And you can even have it be more sensitive for your passenger or for your driver. So if you have both on auto, and I have mine set to be geared to be warmer, it will have mine on versus my wife's, who doesn't want hers on as much. Same goes for the heated steering wheel, or you can just have it on your own setting as well. And two-tiered heated steering wheel works really well. Just down from there, we have a wireless charging pad, which is optional equipment. There's a 12-volt power outlet right there. That's the only power outlet up in this front area. We've got these small bottle holders that are honestly just kind of annoying. If I just want to put something in there, it doesn't go unless I kind of wedge it in there. And it's because those holders right there are very stiff. It's got to be something pretty small to get in there, but like a small coffee cup, things like that work fine, but it kind of gets in the way of some of your controls, which can be a little annoying. The shifter right here is pretty solid. You can move it down into S mode to manually shift, and you can still use your paddles. And we get just a traditional backup camera, no 360 monitor. You can scroll through a wide view or a narrow view. And we do have dynamic guidance lines, which is always good to see. Here's the little touchpad. You have a map shortcut. You can just shortcut to your menu and a back button. The nice thing about this cursor pad is that it does give you feedback. You can turn that off or on. You can use sound, you can use vibration. It takes a little bit of getting used to. I prefer this over the actual little scrolling pad that little like a joystick that Lexus gives you. But my favorite thing is that even though we don't have like a volume knob, a tuning knob up there, we have this stuff down here. This is kind of right where your hand is resting, so you can tune. You've got a tuning knob right over here. You've got pretty much a back button here, a forward button here, quick shortcut to media, a volume dial right here as well on the steering wheel, radio button. So everything's real quick and easy to use. You don't really even have to reach up or anything. One complaint though is the back and forward button are basically the same as the tuning. So if you go through this, it'll just scroll through individual channels on the FM or Sirius XM. And same thing with the actual back and forward button. So I'd like it to actually like seek through your favorites or your presets but it doesn't do that. That's one thing I would like to see. We have the EV mode and brake hold button right here. Right below the ignition is the electronic parking brake. The center armrest is really long, it's really comfortable and soft, and I've actually, because of how long it is, I haven't had any trouble sharing it with my passengers. And it opens up from one side, and then we've got 2 USB ports and an auxiliary port in there. It's actually bigger than I was expecting it to be. It's softly lined on the bottom. And then it also opens up from that side. So that's kind of cool. It's easy access for you and your passenger, and it doesn't have to lift up to kind of totally eject your passenger's elbow. There is a locking glove box. It's pretty small. The manual takes up almost the entire thing. The automatic dimming mirror with garage controls is actually optional equipment. I'm surprised that that's not standard in a luxury vehicle, but I get it with the price range. And then we have touch sensitive LED lights right here. Those are always nice. You don't have to fiddle around feeling for a button. And then you've got a standard size moonroof, which is also optional equipment, no panoramic roof. The visors give us a vanity mirror with a light, and the entire visor will slide in and out a little bit. If we go ahead and turn around and take a look at the visibility, the back window is definitely not very big. That back pillar is pretty massive, and that back window is pretty small. Visibility is definitely tough in here. I think it's better than it was in the CHR, but this is what you get with vehicles shaped like this. At least we have blind spot monitoring in the mirror, a good backup camera, cross traffic alert, all that good stuff. One thing I forgot to mention is our sport, normal, and eco mode buttons are right here, and it'll show you on the tachometer, and we'll go through those as we go through our test drive. Same goes with traction control right over there. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the back seat. So it doesn't have the goofy high handles like some vehicles do in the Toyota CHR. Let's go ahead and hop inside. And when I'm sitting here and sitting up tall, I can actually sit here without my head touching. So that's actually really nice. It kind of surprised me getting in this vehicle. Interesting though, there's not an actual bottle holder on the door, and my space sitting behind myself, I've got just a little bit of knee space, a little bit of foot space, but not a lot. There's AC vents, 2 fast charging USB ports, a little bit of a hump in the middle. Then right here in the middle, we've got a fold down center armrest as well. And of course, you've got hooks and O-blank handles on each side. Don't you think it's kind of weird that a luxury vehicle, at least a luxury branded vehicle, still uses a prop rod? Anyways, it doesn't bother me, but I just thought that was kind of weird. So under the hood of the 2019 Lexus UX, there's 2 different powertrain options, a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder and a hybrid. We have the hybrid right here. The 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine will put out 169 horsepower and 151 pound-feet of torque. Those are Toyota Corolla hatchback numbers. And that will be paired with a 10-speed direct shift CVT transmission. And they call it that because it actually simulates automated gears. It's supposed to feel more responsive. I haven't personally driven that one, so I can't tell you how it is, but we're gonna take this one for a test drive. The other option, of course, is what we have right here, which is the UX 250H. It's a hybrid. It's the 2-liter 4-cylinder that you still get here, but we have an electric motor that powers the rear wheels. So technically you get all-wheel drive with the hybrid. You don't get all-wheel drive with the naturally aspirated engine though. And this one isn't paired with an actual physical CVT. It's an electronically controlled CVT, which is completely different. There's not any actual belts and pulleys. It combines the electric drive and planetary gear set for an infinite gear ratio, and I think it performs better than a regular CVT does, in my opinion. Miles per gallon is gonna be 41 in the city, 38 on the highway, and 39 combined, and I've actually achieved those numbers and even better when I've had it in eco mode. One thing that's a little disappointing, even though this is basically built for the city and it's a small vehicle, there's only a 10.6 gallon fuel tank. So you have a hybrid that gets really good miles per gallon, but your range still really is not that good. I'd like to see that bumped up. On the non-hybrid model, you get 2 extra gallons. Let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive. All right, everyone, thank you so much for sticking around for the test drive of this 2019 Lexus UX Hybrid. Before we get on the road, I'm gonna reset the MPG, and just with how I drive, showing you guys how it drives, we'll see what kind of MPGs we get, and I'll kind of let you know if we're in EV mode or eco mode or sport mode and all that stuff. So I wanna thank y'all so much for sticking around. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I do videos every single week. I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Right off the bat, we're gonna start in eco mode. My first impression of the Lexus UX is that it feels really solid, especially for a car of this size, you know, a lower class, the cheapest car you can get for Lexus. It still feels really solid, and the build quality is just really good. It's got a more stable and sturdy feel than, for example, the Toyota CHR, the Toyota Corolla hatchback that I've been in recently that are similar to this vehicle. One thing about braking is that you have regenerative brakes. So you will hear a whine sometimes. It actually helps to recharge the battery. So right now we are in EV mode, not my own EV mode, but the car's got us in EV mode. Just light throttle, so that means the electric motor is the one powering the rear wheels right now. And we are still in just EV mode, and as long as you're in EV mode and the engine's not on, you are not going to use any gas at all. And now the engine just kicked on. I was at 28 miles per hour and I had to go up a hill. The engine kicked on and it was pretty much seamless. Sometimes you can feel a little bit of a jerk or a little bit of a tiny jolt, and that's when you know the engine is on. So right now the engine is powering the wheels and charging the battery, and you can see that through the energy monitor. And I really like to see that a lot of the times that I'm driving, just to see where the energy is coming from. The suspension on here is it's the F Sport tuned suspension. So it's gonna be a little bit stiffer. It's gonna be a little bit flatter when we go around corners. It's gonna be geared for a little bit sportier driving, which is kind of cool that they even offer that with a hybrid. So with that, it's gonna be a little bit stiffer, like I said, but really I haven't been bothered at all by the suspension. I think it's been pretty good. It's for a short wheelbase like this, a smaller car, it's been surprisingly good. There are some big things that you can hit that really can kind of shake it in here, but for the most part, I've been happy with the suspension and overall pretty comfortable. So starting up a hill right there, it kept me in EV mode for probably about 10 miles an hour, and then the engine kicked on because you had to put the throttle down a little bit more. I'm gonna put it in normal mode. I had it in eco mode the whole time so far. We're getting 31.6 miles per gallon. This road is a little bit rougher, not necessarily rough, but there's some bumps, there's some uneven pavement, and you can definitely feel them, but it's not obnoxious, it's not intrusive. Another thing that I've been impressed with is the noise, vibration, and harshness. I was kind of curious if they would leave out some sound deadening, but there's definitely a fair amount of sound deadening in here, and I took decibel ratings and I was impressed with those decibel ratings. It's obviously not Lexus RX quiet, but it is still quieter, much quieter than the CHR and the Toyota Corolla hatchback. And I haven't heard a single rattle so far. If you really want a quieter cabin, you can get the luxury package, which will give you laminated side glass, which we don't have right now, so it would be a little bit quieter than this. The handling in the UX is definitely really good. That is one strong point of this car, and I think the F Sport package might do a little bit with it. The steering has a pretty nice feel to it overall. It's obviously not sports car-like, but it's got some decent feedback to it. It's more precise than I think the Corolla and the CHR, and I don't necessarily mean to compare it to those, but they're basically built on the same platform, so you gotta see some similarities in them. When you actually go and take some corners, I'm gonna take this one a little bit quicker. There's minimal body lean in here at all, and when you accelerate out of the corners, you get some immediate acceleration. It's an electronically controlled CVT. It's not an actual mechanical hookup like the CVT you would get in some other models, like the non-hybrid model, and I think it's actually performed pretty well. I'll give you an acceleration run here in a little bit. I talked about the brakes being regenerative, and they have a little bit of a different feel to them. So you'll kind of have, you'll see that it actually charges up the battery when you brake, but then once you get a certain amount into the pedal is when you really get the grabbing from the real brakes. And it's a little bit of an adjustment. It takes a little bit getting used to. Now I'm in normal mode. The gas engine is on. I'm just gonna step on it real quick. And the throttle response is very good. You'll see on the energy monitor, some power will come from the engine, some will come from the electric motor. So you get some instant response. Now let's go ahead and put it in sport mode. And I honestly haven't had it in sport mode all that much, but it gives you a pretty cool look on the tachometer, just like you're in a different Lexus vehicle. And when I step on it, it seemed a little quicker to rev, and it didn't obviously like mimic shifts or anything. It just gradually rose those RPMs up and kind of kept them there. But the throttle response is good enough in here. I would like to see an option at least for more power for those of you that want it. But overall, the throttle response is good enough. And actually this hybrid model, it has more power than the non-hybrid model. And it's actually, I think, about 0.3 of a second faster, 0 to 60. The hybrid will be 8.6 and then non-hybrid will be 8.9. Right now I have it in sport mode and I have the paddle shifters going. Sport just kind of alters the transmission shifts, so it's not going to make much difference with the paddles, but I'm going to kind of downshift. It says I'm in 3rd gear, 2nd gear, stomp on it, still 2nd gear. And I just tried shifting 3rd and 4th and the tachometer didn't do anything, so that doesn't really matter, but it's gonna hold the RPMs a little higher to give you at least a little bit more fun if you want it to be. And I just sunk the MPGs. We were at like 36 and now we're at 29 after that. To kind of test the rigidity and the quality of this vehicle, I'm going onto a gravel road right now. Most of you probably aren't gonna do that, but it is all-wheel drive, and some of you might actually need that all-wheel drive in some snow or some muddy areas, or you just have a gravel road, maybe that gets muddy. I'm on a gravel road right now, and so far it's still pretty darn quiet. And I'm actually in EV mode right now. It's keeping me in there, the battery's powering the wheels, and it's still quiet. Obviously the engine's not making any sounds, no rattles. This is definitely pretty pleasant. So in conclusion, with this 2019 Lexus UX, I've seen some reviews where people are not very favorable of this vehicle, but I think Lexus did a pretty good job overall in providing something that they didn't have already. It's smaller, its turning radius is absolutely phenomenal. It's best in class. It makes it really easy to park this thing. There's actually been some times where I've been going around something and I turn real sharp and I turn too sharp and I'm thinking, oh crap, I'm gonna run into something. But it's really impressive. It's very nimble. It's still fairly practical with a little bit of space back there. The back seats are kind of crammed in a way, but they work for most people. And the best part to me is the build quality. You still get a luxurious experience with the Lexus UX, even though it's lower priced, starting out at 32 grand. And this $42,000 model offers quite a bit. And if it was my money, I would take the RAV4 hybrid over this hybrid, just because you literally get everything that this has. It's not going to be quite as quiet. You're not going to have the same kind of interior build quality, but that's just me personally. I'd love to know what you guys think down below, so please be sure to leave your comments. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I'm so grateful that you were here. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and we'll catch you guys next time.